Board meeting for Monday, June 12th, 2023. As always, start off every board meeting with a prayer. So if you will, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all here tonight. Thank you for this rain that we're getting. I know we're very appreciative of that, Lord. Please be with everyone tonight as we make the decisions and do the business of this school district, Lord. Please be with everyone as they go home tonight. These things we ask in your name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you had an opportunity to pick up a copy of the agenda over there, you'll notice the meeting procedures that basically states if you're going to speak to the board tonight, you've already requested to do so beforehand. Next, we need a motion to approve the general agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All in favor? That's unanimous. Next, we have the presentation of our fiscal year 2024 budget. I believe Ms. Jennifer Hession has something maybe prepared for us. Maybe Chase was involved a little bit. Be helpful.
He's gonna push the button.
It's a pleasure tonight.
Name, Taylor, Bush.
Okay, we're gonna just present the budget, the estimated budget that we have now as for next school year. A lot of these numbers are actuals. Some of them are not. Some of them are estimates at this point, but the estimates that we have, we're using those from these combinations of things that we've had over the past couple of years. So this, the budget process is a long, drawn-out process. We start in January. We do some pre-planning in January. In February, we met with all the principals and went over their operating, their staff needs, their non-operating type items. After that, in March, we met with the district supervisor, district directors and of different departments. So we went through the needs there as well. In April, we completed all of our budgeting of our salaries, and which is that's a long drawn out process. We kind of stopped that at the end of April. So it took us, through May to get everything ready for tonight. So, budgets are they are estimates to the best of our ability, and I think we have a good plan on this. But one of the things that we always remind you of is our school district fiscal year is July through June, and the Board of Supervisors is October through September. That is a huge difference in the fact that we go 6 months of our fiscal year without our biggest tax payments, get them about January. So we have to have a good fund balance in order to cash flow through those months. And November, December is the lowest cash months that we have. So that it helps to have a good fund balance, and we do. So for next year, our projected school enrollments, you'll see at each location, we're projected at having 10,184 students. That is just for these locations. We also have 300 pre-K children that is not in this figure. Those are paid for through the Early Learning Collaborative. They are not through MAEP. So that is a separate allocation and a separate number. We also have 2 other locations. We have the Lamar County Center for Technical Education, which is our vocational center that it's for technical programs through our hospitals, and those students are counted in their home school. So we also have the Jefferson Todd Educational Center. That enrollment varies just based on needs. So lots of students. Now our 23-24 revenue, we're if you can see, the largest figure is for our state revenue. Our state revenue is 52%. It's $65,631. Our local is 37% at $45,870,000. Our federal is 9% for $11,725,000, and our 16th section is $1,985,000 for 2%. So our projected revenue is $125,211,000. that is just the overview, and I'm gonna go by category on these next slides to just tell you what makes up that. On our local, of course, our largest is our ad valorem tax operating monies. That figure, the 35,502,000 includes Lamar County and the little portion of Pearl River County that we have. The ad valorem debt service, we got for $4.7 million is for our 2005 bond issue debt service and our 2013 limited tax note. These are estimates at this point. We do not, the school district will make a formal request of this Board of Supervisors by August 15th. We'll have a better number then because we'll have actual June and July collections when we work with that. The biggest takeaway from that is we, the school district, ask for dollars. The Board of Supervisors sets the millage to bring in those dollars. So we do not set the tax millage. Okay, our next one is student activities. That is $1,905,000. That comes from game revenues, fees, fundraisers, and that is all of our schools combined. That is the actual monies that they take in at the schools. Our child nutrition, that is from students and adult sales, for $1,475,000. Our contributions and donations, we have an early learning collaborative tax credit donations. We've got that estimated at $500,000. Hasbro Clinic gives us about $79,000 to go toward 2 of our athletic trainers' parts of their salaries. So that were our estimated contributions and donations is $579,000. Revenue in lieu, that is tax. It's when the county, it's for economic development. The county we have groups that come in, they have a tax, and rather than paying their ad valorem taxes, they have an in lieu payment for up to 10 years. So we have 2 currently in the county. We have a solar farm that is about year 6, I believe. And we have the lumber mill at, the new lumber mill at Lumberton. So that is about $1 million for next year. I don't believe we'll get the full effect of the lumber mill for this fiscal year, but we'll get a large portion, and I think it'll be a little bit more the following year. So we actually have those funds earmarked. We bought buses with those for the last 6 years that we've had this with the solar farm, and we're going to use that from the lumber mill to buy the Chromebook replacements for our students. So we've got that earmarked for 10 years for that. So our interest, we're currently today getting 0.52% on our checking. We rebid the depository bids. We can go up 2-3 years. We have to do that every 3 years, but you can do it every year. When we were only 2 years into it, the interest rate had gone up so much. We did that, and it went from 0.52 to 3.80. So we're estimating an additional $400,000 in interest for next year compared to what we had this year. So that's a major deal. Grants, that is the $35,000 in grants. That is a combination of small grants, teacher grants, a combination of all throughout the district. We have mineral leases and other small tax items that come from the Chancery Clerk. We're estimating that at $35,500. Extra pay reimbursement. When our school activity funds, they take a field trip, they have to reimburse the district the bus driver pay. So that's the majority of this. Some of it's just small items that we get where we have fees for copies and things of that nature. Tuition from individuals, $35,000. That is students that live in Covington County, but in the Summerall School Zone that pay tuition yearly. So, driver's ed, we charge a $20 fee per student just to help with the cost of that program. We get a little bit from the state, we get a little bit from students, but it costs the district the largest majority of that. So we're estimating that at $13,000. Our total revenue for local courses is $45,870,000. Our state, the top three, the MAEP, the teacher and assistant teacher raise, which is from this year, it's not a new one. And the House Bill 1613 additional allotment. Those are kind of a combination. The MAEP is based on average daily attendance in the months of October and November. And October, November of last year, it tanked. We had the flu outbreak and it went down. And we were down tremendously from that. So working those numbers into the formula, we were down about $5 million from the, on MAEP. So the state recognized that and they pulled the teacher raise, the teacher assistant and teacher assistant raise out of that figure and did not normally it would have been, it was new for this year. They would roll it into the formula. Thankfully, they did not do that because had they done it, we would have been down more money.
When they roll it into the formula, they automatically 10.5%
10.5%
decrease
off the
to
top,
10.5%. So instead of having that 5,947,000, it would have been 10.5% less than that if it was rolled into the formula. So they held it outside the formula this year, legislators did.
That is a good thing. Now, probably if
It'll roll in next year.
it'll go in there next year for sure. So I was really thankful for that. Everybody in the state had the same issues we had with the low MAEP, low ADA. So the legislators in House Bill 1613, they allotted an additional $100 million to be divided through by schools to kind of make up that difference. This is an estimated number, the $2 million. We do not have that exact number right now. We've been given last week, we've given it some information. We think that's a great estimate. So
We've been given some information that's probably about
125,000 more than that, I think is what we'll get. So we're
low
good on
balling
it.
it just to make sure that our budget doesn't, go over.
So, those all three of those together, probably next year you'll see one MAEP number. So that, of course, that's the largest amount of one funding formula of anything that we have. On our state vocational, that is $1,056,000. That is salary reimbursements for teachers at the technical center as well as at the school, the programs we have at the schools. National board certifications, that is mainly teachers, but we have some speech language therapists. We have nurses, athletic trainers that get this. They get an additional $6,000 a year. The state reimburses the full $6,000 plus the fringe benefits to the district on that. So we got about 125 people with that certification. The Early Learning Collaborative, that is our pre-K program. We pay for teachers' salaries, instructional materials, and equipment just to run our pre-K programs. Of course, homestead exemption, we get $700,000. It comes from the county, but it is a state fund that flows through the county. And educational enhancement funds, that is a building and buses allotment that we get from the state. We have that pledged for debt. It is pledged for our 2013 limited tax notes. If we do not pledge those funds, if there is a state cut, those funds can be cut. So it's been pledged for the entire time of that thing. So that's the allocation for that's $323,000. Yeah, additional privilege tax, that is on heavy trucks. So all heavy trucks that roll through Lamar County have a tax that they have to pay. $300,000 is the district portion of that. Extended school year, that's our special services summer program. That's a specific number that they were given. So that's an actual amount of $62,409. We have a nurse grant. This pays for a nurse. We actually have two that there is a Medicaid nurse. They do the Medicaid screenings. We pay for, rather than it being one person, we have two part-time people that do that. So that is not quite 100% of that salary, but it's the majority of it. Educable child is the special services. It's children that are enrolled in other facilities that better meet their needs than we can meet in-house. That's about $40,000. Rail car tax is just like the heavy trucks. Rental cars that roll through Lamar County, we get a tax on that, so our estimate is $37,000. The universal screener is a K-3 academic screener that is required by the state. We purchase this, and then the state reimburses that each year. That's $30,000. Driver's ed reimbursements, we get $17,500 from the state for each. That's a combination of, that's a small amount for each child that is enrolled in that in our high schools. And we do have driver's ed programs at all our high schools now. So our total estimated state revenue is $65,631,000. I'm gonna skip the next slide. I'm gonna skip the federal. I'm gonna go to the 16th section and come back to the federal. 16th section, leases and our property leases, $1,060,000. Our earnings on investments and our checking and investments, $409,000. We have the oil field in Baxterville. We get some oil royalties of $250,000 with that. Interest on loans of $160,200. And timber sales, which is estimated by the Mississippi Forest Commission, $105,000. So our total revenue is for 16th section is $1,985,000. Going back to the loans, we can borrow money from the district principal fund. We have to be able to pay it back through our operating funds. So we've had quite a few over the years. We are down to one. We borrowed the money from ourselves to build Long Lake Elementary in 2013. That's the interest on that loan. That's the only loan we have left on that. Right, let's go back to the federal. There's quite a few federal sources on Title I through the administrative cost pool. You'll see those numbers, 2.8, 187, and 464. I'm gonna skip over that. We'll go to the next couple of slides and kind of talk a little bit more about those. But dropping down to high quality instructional materials. That is an ESSER grant. ESSER is part of the CARES Act coronavirus funds that we've received. That was for purchasing textbooks and instructional materials. We'll have $391,000 left on that.
There's a lot of purchases in this agenda.
There is. The Art Learn More grant is also an ESSER grant. That is a 3-year program. It has helped to fund our NDCC, which is our JROTC program at all the high schools, and also tutoring for after-school programs. That one is $500. The ESSER 2 pre-K, that is $36,000, and that was for salaries. So those are all ESSER funded. They are all, almost through their life of those programs. Skipping on down to federal technical education, that is salary reimburses for 2 partial salaries for 2 employees at the technical center. We have Medicaid screenings and SBAC. That is student health screenings. They're the Medicaid health screenings. That these nurses on the nurse grant, they do that, and then we get money back from Medicaid on that. There's also some SBAC is called school-based administrative claiming. We get a little bit of money from that. It's just some random moment surveys that teachers and other employees do. It actually comes from Medicaid. So we're looking at about $50,000 there. Child nutrition, that's the free and reduced reimbursement, and that is about $4 million. So let's go back to the federal programs, on the title funds. I'll go the pages over. So the title, Title I is $2,831,000. That's financial assistance for schools with high percentages of low-income families. It's just to help these to meet the state and challenging academic needs and standards. So Title II is $464,000. That is just mainly to strengthen the quality of our teaching, our quality and effective teaching, and other administrators. Title III is our English for our English language learners, immigrants. We did not get the immigrant grant this year currently, but for Title III next year, we get $46,000, and then immigrants is $17,000. On the Title IV, It is to support student support and enrichment grant, that's $222,000. It is to provide access to a well-rounded education and improve the school, learning and conditions in the learning for student learning and the use of technology. We actually have two of them are Title IV. 21st Century is 320 more thousand, and that is focused on in-school and out-of-school, after-school tutoring.
The first Title IV is we use some of that money to pay for ACT and work keys for our students to take the ACT to the graders, and work keys for our students to take work keys. Just give them another opportunity so that they can, scholarship dollars are based on ACT scoring, so every opportunity to
Jennifer, are all of these funds contingent on us remaining low income, or is that just Title I?
It's based on free and reduced percentages.
And that's all the time.
All federal. And all of our federal funds are used, focused on just increasing the student academic achievements. So that, everything as a whole for that. So going on to the next slide, this is just the big three things that we use those funds for: people, improvement of instructions, and professional development. So that's what we use our title funds for. Okay, ESSER is the CARES Act that had different ones. We have ESSER 1, 2, and 3. On ESSER 1, it began on March 13th of 20, and it was completed in September. So that 1.7 is complete. The ESSER 2 is 7.5. It started on the same day, March 13th of 20, and we go through September 30th of 2023. So we're almost finished with that. The ARP was American Rescue Plan Act, which was like ESSER 3. We got $16,664,000 from that. It started March of 21 and it goes through September of 24. So those are all one of them's gone, and we're kind of whittling down on these others. So going back to the special services that, the IDEA special services, they're getting $2.3 million for that. And then on the preschool portion is $70,000. So special services, we have 1,800 students in the district and about 250 employees that work in this. And their funds are used to evaluate students, behavior modification classes, employment ability, just anything that's needed for those students to meet their needs. Right? Just the budgeted expenditures as a whole. Majority is, of course, salaries and fringes. The getting teacher now with BS degree, 0 years experience, and we pay for the PERS, the FICA employer portion, health insurance. It is about $60,000 from one teacher. So that's just where you'll see, the perspective here on that. So, and health insurance is one thing that's going up. It'll go up 5%. It's going to go up in January. So that will cost the district for a year $262 per employee. Now we're paying $52.44 a year for each employee. We'll be paying $5,506 for each employee a year. So
the payroll, which is about 70.
Yeah. A little bit over $7 million each month is our payroll. So we've got, we have our school operating budgets in there, the district operating budgets, just the normal utilities, facilities, just everything that, to operate this organization. We have the transportation, it's the bus fleet operating, maintenance of them, bus purchases, we always have 5 to 6 in there. I think this year we ended up with 8 that we purchased. Then we have, of course, property insurance, bus liability, workers' comp, and that increased very, very much this time. Ross Bell is going to talk about that a little bit later now, but it is just property insurance. The market is just different. It's a lot more expensive to replace. So our property was the main one. The others did not go up that much. We're gonna do, we have in here the replacement of student Chromebooks, and that's about $800,000 a year, because each year we'll replace third, sixth, and ninth grade each year, so. Going to the percentages of our $130 million, 72% goes to salaries, for $93,835,000. That's salaries and fringe benefits. All of our other, everything else combined is 24%, it's $30,658,000. Our debt service is 4%, and that's $5,587,000. Now, earlier, our revenue was $125 million. It's large, the expenditures are larger because some of these grants, we already have the money in hand, we just haven't spent it. So that's. And this will be adopted at our next board meeting. It'll be presented, it'll be presented as presented today, and it'll be, I don't know for sure that that's gonna be the date, but it will be presented at the July board meeting for. The back sheets, is the actual budget. So, any questions?
No, thank you, Ms. Edgar. Even have a slot built in before you get sat down.
Yeah.
Public budget questions and answers. Anybody from the public have any questions for Ms. Hessian? Or answers, if y'all have some answers, because that would be nice too. Next, we have Mr. Ross Bell in attendance with us tonight. He'll be telling us about some insurance, giving us some quotes, and basically just telling us what we need to do, if we'll listen to it.
Well, thank you. Sometimes when I come here, it's great news, and sometimes it's not so great news. If you had sent, did they get the article that I sent you?
Did we send that article?
I can't remember.
Y'all just told us about it.
Yeah, we told them.
Well, that article, if you could send it to them, that would be, it would answer a lot of questions. But bottom line is the insurance property market is in disarray. And people in Florida have it worse than we have it, but we still got it bad. People in Alabama had it, Louisiana had it, and it's all over the world really. But the impetus has been basically 8 years of just very bad property experience. Insurance carriers are paying on average $1.20 for every buck they bring in. So they're running pretty high on loss ratios. And that's been cumulative over, right now it's 120, last year's 120, the year before is 120, so it's just not been good. So what you've seen, if you've gotten this spreadsheet, I sent a revised, did everybody get the revised one? I sent the revised spreadsheet today, and I revised it to put some percentages on it and to show you kind of the marketing. When you look at the marketing, that one broker, MWINS, handles probably 40 or 50% of the schools, maybe 40% of schools in the state. School Board Association, Liberty Mutual, I have the rest of them. But MWINS represents about 62 different carriers, and they looked at what we have. I sent it to them and said, this is where we are. Can you have a rate online that can compete with this? And none of the stuff they're getting back is anywhere near what we have. So I say that to say this, it doesn't look great, but it could look worse. So the question is the deductible structures have changed, and everybody's targeting wind, and they're targeting not just named storm, but convective storms, tornadoes, straight line winds. They're targeting that. And so the deductible structure for the renewal with Liberty is gone from an occurrence deductible, which would apply to the entire schedule, to a per location or address deductible. So per campus. So all the buildings located on one campus, they're going to take a deductible. Next campus takes a deductible. Next campus takes a deductible. So without any buybacks, that would be 250. So you've got roughly 20 locations, and you can do the math on that. If every campus got hit. Now, will that happen? It's not gonna happen in a tornado. I mean, we're so geographically spread, it can't. I think the probabilities are very low for that. But that could happen possibly in a hurricane event. And whether you would exceed that 250 or whether all of them would get hit, so you would incur that 250 as a deductible. Who knows? So somebody asked me today, said, well, what's the right answer? There's really no right answer, because we really need to consider, it's a math problem. We talked about this earlier.
The person that asked today was me.
Yeah. It's really a math problem. So if you spend the money for a buyback, right? That money's sunk. The middle of the road buyback is to bring it down to 150 per campus. Okay. But it's limited to 1.5 million. So basically 15. 10 campuses, yeah. And so that's kind of the middle of the road, and that's the one I showed you.
Is that what was on board book in our packet, what you're holding here?
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna.
I figured you did. This was what was on this. Past things.
So there's basically 3 options for the documents. Without a wind buyback, it remains at 250. Right? If you do the one at 177, it pulls each campus down by 100. So now you're at 100. Subject to 1.5 total.
That's the Liberty Berkeley, that's the one on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we changed the Berkeley Church Mutual Auto to Berkeley because Church Mutual is out. And then the other option for the wind buyback creates just a straight $1 million occurrence deductible. So it's not per location.
A straight 1 million?
Occurrence, so that applies to all campuses. In other words, you hit $1 million.
Deductible.
Yeah.
Per hurricane or whatever.
So if you do the math, 250 per location is $5 million, right?
Yes.
So buying that 4 million down to 1 million and keep it on an occurrence basis. So not 250 per location, not $1 million per location. Straight
1 million.
So when we talk today, we start talking about probabilities, and we spend that, or you incur that, right? And you put the 429 on top of it. Now you have to spend $1 million, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Because you paid for it and you got to incur it.
If we were just purpose and our schools were all packed right here in one place.
It makes more sense to do something.
Yes.
To do
It's just
both.
what geographically, like when we had Katrina, it was just a swath right through here. Purpose, they got hit harder and they were out of school more. You know what I'm saying? So typically it's kind of it's all, in my opinion, and I hate to say this way, but it's a gamble because, if we could see the future, then I'd be at the boat right now. I'm not right here before me. It's kind of one of those things. What's the probability and what's the odds that every one of our buildings in a occurrence would be damaged to the extent that we would have to file insurance?
And if you look historically, the largest loss that you had was over 7 million. And it was,
One was up at the high school. One building, one occurrence.
So,
No, I don't know. The currency, that makes no sense to me. I mean, doesn't it to y'all?
That's what's.
I mean, I don't wanna have to just come off of money and have to worry about, that we're betting on catastrophic loss, right?
so which one are you talking about?
The 1 million that you said, the occurrence, I mean, wouldn't that be what,
Well,
isn't that the safest bet?
What you have?
it is the safest.
No,
I mean,
you get A, B, and C there. And he's calculated B is,
I mean, is that not what you would recommend? I mean, what, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of frugal guy, but I'm also risk averse. As soon as I say that, nothing will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2007 since we had to spend that much money. I mean, it's taxpayers' money that we're spending, you know, and that's why I'm sitting here saying, I mean,
well, and the thing is, at some point, you can look at, do we have enough to whether if something catastrophic happened, do we have enough in the savings to be able to, whether, you know what I'm saying? How much are we willing to self-insure, well, I guess.
Right.
That's something
We call it reinsurance.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know,
So if we did the deductible of 250 per location, we would just pay the 1,081,000 for property.
We just take that buyback out.
which one's that? Where are you at?
Okay, so if you look at the first option, the without wind buyback, the deductible is 250K per location,
Yeah.
Then it-
That's the one we're talking
then
about.
it's just, so you just pay the one.